Let's roll it.
All right, guys, we are here to, of course, talk about Tiny Beautiful Things. Such an amazing project. And Cheryl, I have to start with you because you are, of course, the creator of this entire universe. When did you know you wanted to take this book and make it into something a lot bigger?
I really began to think of it when we were making Wild with Reese and Laura. We began those conversations. In my memory, we were at the London premiere of Wild and afterwards in the bar talking about how much we loved each other. What was exciting, I think, for all of us is this idea of not just continuing our friendship, but continuing a creative collaboration. Mm-hmm. And I said at the time, I thought that Tiny Beautiful Things could be a TV show. I didn't know exactly how, but I just sensed it could be. And we began talking about it then.
My life is a mess. My husband kicked me out a few days ago. My daughter hates me.
Oh my God. Mom!
Liz, when did you get into this?
I got into it in the Hulu parking garage. I was waiting for my car. We had just done the series pitch out for Little Fires Everywhere. And Reese's partner, Laura Newstetter, turned to me and she said, okay, I just have to ask you, do you know who Cheryl Stayed is? And then I went off on a rant about all the ways I knew Cheryl Stayed, culminating with my son being named Wilder. And I was, maybe I would get to meet Cheryl and go out to dinner, and maybe I'd get my book signed, and then maybe it would happen or it wouldn't happen, and then it happened.
And then I met her and loved her. Reese had called me up and said, Liz Tigelaar is this amazing woman and amazing writer, and you have to meet her. And immediately, I had the feeling I had about Liz that I had in the first conversation I had with Reese. Mm-hmm. And that is, I knew I was talking to somebody who is telling me the truth, who really had a very wise perception of what I was trying to do in the book. Mm-hmm. And she was somebody I could trust. And both of those women, I have not been wrong about that.
Yeah. Now, for Laura and Reese, what was it about that book specifically that you were like, you know what, this could be a bigger story? What made you also fall in love with it?
Well, I think for all of us, it becomes your Bible, your path in life, that it gives you answers that you never knew you could find. And each of us found it in some magical way at the very moment we needed it, which is how Tiny Beautiful Things comes to you. And now, as I'm hearing from so many people who love this show so much, the show is doing the same. It is a gift for all of us to see ourselves in. So I think we both had that experience of the book and coveted it, even as a guide to understand Wild more and the relationship of the characters we were playing, Cheryl and her mother, Bobby. So the idea of then continuing that journey and celebrating Cheryl's work and these letters was an amazing dream.
Yeah.
Go. Okay. I like Cheryl. Oh, no. She's really good at PE.
She's amazing. First of all, just reading, I don't even know where to begin about Cheryl. In this lifetime, to have a writer like you in this world to help us synthesize the human experience, because we all go through pain, suffering, joy, happiness, humanity. Those experiences through your eyes has changed my life. And the book Wild literally changed my life by making that movie with you. But through that experience, we started talking about Tiny Beautiful Things and how important that is, that people feel seen and heard and not alone in this world. And that's why we were just determined to make this show. Because, look, I know this is one of the most popular books at graduation. People give it away as graduation advice. This is literally, it covers the gamut of the human experience. So being able to put that in a television show with this incredible creative team is such a dream come true. Yeah. And sort of like a magic trick, that it's all come together and that the reviews are phenomenal, that we got to bring in Kathryn into this creative love family. It's just really meaningful in this world to make something. I feel really proud about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kathryn, how did you get into this world of magic, as they would say?
I was sent this beautiful, singular pilot written by Liz Tigelaar. I knew that the source material was this book, Tiny Beautiful Things. I think I'm one of a handful of people that had not read the source material. But I was brought on and was turned on by the strength of this pilot and by this Claire Pierce, this woman at the heart of it. And then I read Tiny Beautiful Things and thought, well, this is essential human reading. And just met myself and felt so less alone in so many of the answers and so many of Cheryl and Sugar. Now it seems like we're in this era of like a messy, flawed heroine as like a person to be as a woman, which is so interesting to me because I feel that what's so beautifully captured in Liz's adaptation and so tricky and so beautiful and singular and honest is that you scratch the surface of any single person on this planet and we're all it's a disaster underneath it. Like there's like no one that is not like whatever messy means. Like everyone's brain is like going a mile a minute and no one feels that they're exactly at the place they thought that they would be or hasn't experienced some unimaginable loss of their very own, whatever that means to them, and couldn't be in a place that they're able to articulate for someone else something that they are not at a place of receiving for themselves at that very minute. And so I think what's so refreshing about this is we're so in a place that anonymously are able to quickly tweet off a piece of a feeling or an opinion and a piece of advice that is so biting and so mean in 5 words or less into the universe, like through whatever. And there is something of a generosity in this and a radical honesty and actual like both feet on the ground, let me actually like give you something of myself for you, like in a generosity that I think is so refreshing. I felt that so deeply and strongly through Cheryl's writing and through this experience of making it. Like it was very important at the beginning that we set off something to bring our whole messy, complete selves, not just a part of us, and we certainly did.
Yeah. And I was like, wait, that was beautifully said.
Yeah. You are the best snorter, Kathryn. It's like it's an adorable snort.
Oh, that's good to know. I feel like I've got a few more years before it's less adorable. You know what? Screw it, though.
Oh my God. Well, I kind of think she just showed this answer, but what was it about Kathryn that made her the perfect Claire for any of you who want to answer?
I mean, I got to work with Kathryn in 2013. Is that right? 2010.
2000.
1471. 19. We made this when they started. 1937. No, we made a movie and we had the best time. It was that's a whole other story. But I just loved her and I loved everything about that moment with her because we bonded over being moms. We were both like these young moms with kids, and I've always wanted to work with her again. But you just bring so much pathos. And also, when I heard you were going to play this part, also I share this part with you because I played a version of Cheryl, and you've now played a version of Cheryl, and now Sarah Pigeon, who's incredible in this show.
Do you remember the rules? We don't know each other. Yes. And if you see me, I ignore you. Except if I talk to you. Like, if I talk to you first, then you can talk to me. But if not, your gaze shall... Just stop looking at me. Stop staring at me. Okay. Yes. Your gaze shall not linger on me. Yes, Your Highness. You're a stranger to me.
It's raw, and it's probably the most vulnerable I've ever felt in my entire life. I cried almost every day, off camera.
A lot.
Off camera. And because it challenges your ideas of self, you are challenged to not judge yourself, but you're also in your messiness.
Yeah.
And it's hard to go there and let people see you be messy.
Dear Sugar, I'm a messed up woman. I've been married twice. I'm dishonest, impulsive, unhappy, jealous. I'm lonely. And I have no right to give advice to anyone.
What's so beautiful about the show and the response to the show, and I think, Kathryn, what you embodied so bravely with like every fiber of your being is this idea that we are all carrying so much that people can't see. And that is everybody. And that's what's going on inside of us at all times, right now. And I think there's something really beautiful in acknowledging that, you know? And I think that's what the show does. And a lot of it does have to do with grief and loss and bewilderment and confusion and not being sure if you're where you're supposed to be. And all of those feelings, you know, are churning in us at all times while we try to appear as if it's not.
One of the things that we really wanted to do with that as well is to present, you know, as Kathryn says, we all have some loss or some trauma in our lives. And a lot of stories, the way that that's characterized is the thing that holds the character back, that keeps them from becoming the person they're meant to be. And I think to some degree that's true with our Claire, but on the other hand, those experiences that we see Sarah Pidgeon acting out, those are also the things, those are the source of her greatest wisdom and beauty and power. So it's through those experiences that she's channeling those things that she can write as Sugar. They aren't only the things that have held her back or harmed her. They've been among the greatest gifts of her life and certainly the most powerful gifts. And we tried to convey that sense of it's not like, okay, Claire just has to get over the death of her mother and then onward. It's actually, she's bringing all of that experience forward in the work she's doing as a writer.
Yeah, that idea of take what was hard and make it beautiful. Like that's such, you know, that's the core, one of the core messages of the show. And I think,
It's beautiful.
As a viewer, I think we all can relate to Claire. I think there's a way that's why the show resonates so well. As anybody who's watching, there's something you pull from her. Kathryn, what did you pull from her? How did you kind of tap in and relate to her?
Oh. I mean, there's so many things. Well, I guess this is where I segue just to say thank you to Liz for the collaboration that we had, because this was definitely like a meaty conversation of trying to figure out, especially because the past Claire, one could say, was taken from mostly, like there was a blueprint for a lot of it from Cheryl's life, and so much of the present Claire was created, and so there was a lot of us being able to be in conversation with it, and that was like I'm just grateful for you sticking with me through like figuring her out, like in the and that conversation between the past and the present was like was difficult, and I feel like I think where I could meet that, you know, I'm turning 50 this summer, and I'm finding myself, it's a surprisingly finding my power in ways that I didn't think I would be. Like I feel like there had always been this like I don't know, I had always thought it was going to be like and now I'm feeling like, oh, I don't know, like I'm just looking at like this, like how not gentle I was with my younger self, and like I just wish I could take that younger self and be like, like, you know, be a little less tough on her. Like I think we all can be, we're so tough on our younger selves. Maybe not all of us, but I certainly was.
Oh yeah.
So I think that being able to actually like visualize and have that conversation with your younger self, that was something very exciting that was through this, I think.
That's cool.
I just wanted to add too, I was so moved when you're speaking about your collaboration, you know, with the gift of your book and all that we were dreaming up in terms of what it could become, that Liz, your imprint, your discovery, the new discoveries that you found through navigating what could this be in this form, and also amassing an amazing group of diverse storytellers in the writer's room who each imprinted not only Claire but all the characters that what really moved me when I saw the whole piece and stood back, I'd never seen something that where you felt the way our damage or our gifts rub up against each other in life. That the way Amy, Michaela Watkins, who's so amazing, impacts you and your own vulnerability or insecurity about your writing. Or the amazing Tim Roth. And how you can put so much, you can project so much on an individual that actually doesn't even really know who you are after all these years of this is the reason I keep going. And of course in a marriage, of course in relationship to a daughter, all of it is so beautifully thought through, and you can feel everyone's imprint, just as you described so incredibly how you found Claire within yourself and in collaboration with you guys.
Well, and also I would say Laura was also so instrumental in cracking her. And I so remember a conversation when we were talking about the teaser and how to introduce this character. And we knew she was going to be breaking into her house. And Laura said, should she just be so drunk she forgot she doesn't live there? And it was like, yes, oh my God, yes.
We really wanted to try to play with this thing we're talking about, where it's like, to be messy is to be human. Yeah. This is not, she's not some sort of exceptional person who's outside of the rest of us, that she's right here in the fold with us. And so much of the whole Dear Sugar experience is about that. When people read those letters that people have written to me, they very often think, me too. And I thought I was the only one. Mm-hmm. And I think that the power of this show and that book is to say, no, to be human is to be complicated, to be messy, to not know your way. And so Liz and I are both always, as often as we speak about Claire's messiness, we speak about her resilience, her courage, and her togetherness. This woman has kept her marriage thriving for the better part of 2 decades. She has raised a fine young woman. She has held down a job that she doesn't love and been the breadwinner for her family. So let us not forget that when we talk about the mess.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
As so many women do.
Yeah.
And what you just said also, exceptional women are also messy. That's exceptional people. That's part of it.
Yeah.
That's part of life and how we all are. Liz, for you and for any of you who really want to comment on this, how did the decision come about to have multiple timelines throughout and flashbacks? Because it could have easily been one timeline and just having her flashback, but having different actors come in and really build that story, how did that kind of come out and where you guys landed on?
It's easy to look at the book and at first think of kind of an A story of Cheryl, Claire, and a B story of the letter writers, and think about how those stories merge. But I was so enamored with Cheryl's writing and Cheryl's story, and I just started to approach it from what do I love about this? And I loved the nonlinear memoir nature to it, and I loved the idea of all these unseen stories that are living inside of us. And I so wondered, how did Cheryl draw on her own past to find the wisdom? And I thought that was a really interesting part of the show. And so we almost decided to create what we've come to call a ghost ship version of Cheryl, because that's such a pivotal question and answer in the book. And this idea that Claire is a character who shared all of Cheryl's past and upbringing, but didn't hike the Pacific Crest Trail and didn't become the writer that she wanted to be, or that she meant to be, or that she thought she could be. And what would that look like now? And so that's what unfurled.
That was definitely just such a gift that you figured out a structure to this beautiful question and answer book that is touched so many people's lives, but you found the way to make it come alive. It's beautiful.
Cheryl has shared so many stories, but there are so many stories within those stories that we could mine and now go even deeper. And
I got to the point, though, about halfway through, I realized I better shut my mouth a bit, because every time Liz would ask me to tell a story, it was in the show. And I was like, okay, wait, I got to be careful here. I can't give you all my life stories.
Exactly.
There was something that was so compelling to me and so vivid about the idea of having when you're in a fight with your husband or your partner that you've been together with forever, all of a sudden it's the two of you at 20. Or, when you're in a fight with your 13-year-old, all of a sudden you're both 13. Or, when you're in a smooching scene with your, 18-year-old, so all of a sudden you're back to 18. I love that idea that we carry all of our selves at once, and the idea of being able to actually see it, that was very exciting to me. And so that was something that I think also the older I get, the more vividly those past selves are definitely like rising to the surface. I don't know if any of you women feel the same, but I feel like so connected to like my former selves. They're like, ah. So that was something I definitely took away from this experience, is having like empathy and compassion for all those selves, I think.
Reese,
My Sybil selves.
Your younger Kathryns.
My younger Kathryns.
Oh, so cute. I think there's real beauty in self-discovery, and that it's kind of your job on this earth to figure yourself out and have compassion for yourself and save yourself. Because you can really drown in that, or you can reach for something better. And that's one of my favorite essays from the book, is reach, you know, and that starts with asking big questions. And I love how vulnerable the people writing in are and saying, tell me more about myself. And what Cheryl always says is, you have all the answers, they're inside you. It's
vulnerability.
Yeah.
I would say that having the experience from the position of being producers on this, but being actors who feel so connected to Cheryl's stories, and also the process of acting, one discovery that I was so grateful for was, I think as an actor, I am completely judgmentless. But as a woman, I remember when I first read the idea, and we first even spoke about it when the three of us were talking, that Liz had about this idea that Claire would have used the college trust money for her brother. And not being Claire, it was like, oh guys, this is too far. You know, you can, and immediately I'm like, okay, what do you think the husband's done? I mean, affairs, like it happens. He's cheated, he's lied, he's betrayed, he stole money. But I'm like, she can't have used that. Like, there was this little voice in me that, not as the actor, saw how much fear of mistake there was, because I felt so close to it as a collaborator or protective somehow, but I wasn't the actor going, she can do everything, she's fine, and I just was shocked. And so as an audience, it gave me such a gift of the compassion that we're entitled to mistake. We're entitled, all of us, to get it wrong, and that I hadn't been that generous as a viewer, I think. So that was an amazing gift and discovery. Thank you guys for it.
So interesting.
There are so many things I took from it, but that goes well with mine, which is, I love that last moment of the pilot when she says, when a gift is given, say thank you. And I think sometimes that's really hard to do. And it's so important to do. And I mean, obviously, this has been a huge gift for me. So thank you to everybody, because this has been beyond a gift. I mean, beyond.
And now we have each other forever.
I know, I'm so happy. I have just what I wanted, Cheryl forever.
Cheryl.
I think there are so many gifts in this experience for me. I just feel like the luckiest person ever. But honestly, just as somebody who gets to watch the show, when I can have a little distance and just laugh and cry and absorb that whole experience that is the show and Kathryn's beautiful performance, it's like, wow, it blows my mind. And one of the things that I think moves me the most about the character of Claire and her journey is not just the mother-daughter stuff, but really the stuff with her inside of herself, her as a writer. Because I think, of course, the loss of her mother hugely, impacted her life and defines her in so many ways, both her wisdom and the things that still cause her pain. But also the ways that she ultimately betrayed herself by not ever finishing that book that she had the book deal for, not setting her writing aside, even though she knew that it was the great call that she had within her. So to see this character grapple with that and finally take responsibility for that, to reckon with that and say, I'm going to be different now. I'm going to do this thing that I knew from the beginning I had to do. What that tells me is she's going to be okay. That laundry pile that she is going to fold itself. It's kind of like what Reese just said. You have to find the thing that you are good at and that you love and keep faith with it and do it. And that is the way to happiness. That is the way to wholeness. That is the way to align that inner self with the face we present to the world. And I love that Kathryn as Claire is doing that.